All right, guys. So, time for a little bit of a first impressions VOD. They just announced the new map pool here for Season 4. Don't know if they've announced when that starts. So you guys can already playtest, explore these in the multiplayer custom games tab. Host up a game with a friend or an AI. First map for 1v1 is Eternal Empire. Looks pretty. Let's see what we get. Fuck. Sorry, guys. I forgot. They decide to do this. Does that work? Okay, it does. Let's get them all loading, shall we? Since apparently we're in 1999 and it takes half an hour for a fucking map image to load top to bottom, as if I'm trying to look at Pamela Anderson's boobies. Yeah. Okay. So basically we got 1, 2, 3, 4 new maps for 1v1. Okay. Wait. And we've got 1 2v2 map, 1 3v3, 1 4v4 map. Okay, so the final map for 1v1. So let's see. We're keeping Triton, huge map. Ephemeron, my favorite map. World of Sleepers, map which gets vetoed a lot. It's not a bad map. It does have the slow zones. Excuse me, or the bubbulars, as Tastoses call them. Whatever goes. And then we get Zen, Simulacrum. So that means, which maps are we losing, guys? So if we're keeping Ephemeron, World of Sleepers, and Triton, that means we are losing Disco Bloodbath. We are losing Thunderbird. Thank God Thunderbird's going. And we're also losing Acropolis, which we've had a lot of good games on Acropolis, actually. I'm very happy we're keeping Ephemeron. I think that's the most interesting of the maps. I think we've had some cool games on Ephemeron. Unfortunately, it's been vetoed a lot because it's been such a big map pool. Players who want to play on big maps are just like, hey, veto that one small map, take it out, and you know, we can get to late game. So anyway, guys, let's take a look at these maps one by one. First one is Eternal Empire. These are my first impressions. Remember, I'm also trying to look at them through the lens of 9 different matchups. I will inevitably completely miss things. I also will have a pretty bad perception of just how big a space is. Sometimes I'll think a siege tank can reach somewhere when it actually can't, etc. It's not until people always ask me the whole week, they're like, well, what do you think? Are they good? And I'm like, I as a random player need to play for at least 2 weeks before I really have any concrete opinions on the map pool. I'll start out with opinions, but they're not going to be backed up by any experience. So they've, you know, take everything I say with a grain of salt, pitch in with your own comments, your own interpretations. If you think there's a problem or a cool feature, let me know in chat, let me know in the YouTube comments below. So this is a modern interpretation of Cloud Kingdom. It takes the good parts of that map to make a larger and more suited version for Legacy of the Void. This version emphasizes even more the idea of the longer path gives a better angle. Okay, cool. Classic Cloud Kingdom. You start up in a corner in the high ground, as does your opponent. Yeah, okay, cool. So we can kind of actually just print screen that actually, and let's get a green shot open. We can draw. We can draw quickly while we do this, just to illustrate, because I know it's hard for you guys to follow what I'm doing because you're simpletons. So let's go. Whee! Hey, why do you make fun of us? All right, let's go. Get out freehand. Tool going. Okay, so you spawn top, right, or bottom left, and then you've got a very easy natural just down there. And there is a direct path through natural to natural, which goes... Oh. And then you gotta go that way, or I think this would be the faster way. And then... Ugh. What do you guys think is the fastest way? I mean, it's got to be like here. Right? I think that's the faster way. This seems about the same distance, to be honest. So that's natural to natural is like kind of a bit curvy, right? Because there's terrain blocking there. There are obviously destructible rocks here. Let's remove that path across, by the way. We'll get rid of that. But then we've got rocks here. We've got rocks here, rocks here. Oh, there's also rocks on the third base. So this is your third base, right? For main, natural, and then third. There's rocks to open up that path. There's rocks to open up the ramp to your natural as well. This is very interesting. So those spaces will get more wide open. Where you take a fourth has always been an interesting choice on this map, right? So that's your third. You could go for a fourth there. Probably the least common, right? Because they can kind of come in from the sides and attack it from that angle. They can attack from there, and they can also attack from here or bypass into your main. So I'd say that's probably the least common fourth. But you could also take this one. That's a low ground expand. It's exposed from harassment, like a drop stims in from behind you and hits you from the high ground. And then probably the most common one would be this one down here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I would imagine that's your standard base layout. So what you've got is, even though there's a direct path through the center, more or less, you're going to have these low ground areas being quite interesting areas of combat, right? Especially like TVT movement on this map could be very interesting. Trying to bypass each other. You got so many choke points, right? So many, you get these like big areas around the edge where you can like always kind of bypass around the edges a bit. Rich gas. I just saw it. Purple gases, guys. That's purple gas, that's purple gas, that's purple gas, that's purple gas. Okay, good to know. So we've got rich gas geysers on the low ground bases, since they're obviously much harder to hold on to. I imagine normally you're going to just both take the edges, but then you are spread. Like you do get spread quite thin once you go out to a 5th base out there. So actually I think a lot of people would take the low ground base as their 5th. Because the moment you go to that corner, it's very exposed to run bys. It's really far away from your natural. An interesting map. Yeah, definitely very Cloud Kingdom focused. I really enjoy this. I really enjoy this. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. So as always, whenever I mention that there's 9 matchups as a random player, there's always someone in chat who's like, 9 matchups? What are you talking about, pig? There's not. Well, you got to think about it in terms of, you've got to put yourself in the player's shoes. So you have to think about Zerg versus Terran from the Zerg perspective and from the Terran perspective to fully engage your brain in terms of what the goals are for each race. So you don't just look at it from one perspective. You have to look at it from 2 different perspectives. That's why it's ZVT, also TVZ, separate matchups. That's why we talk about it that way. Because when you're looking at the level of complexity, I think that's the only way that really does it justice. Where'd the post go? Did I accidentally... Oh, I accidentally clicked on it there. Okay, guys, the next one is Nightshade LE. Nightshade might not offer anything revolutionary. It has a solid standard layout that allows players to choose from a wide range of different playstyles. A bunch of words that mean nothing. Rocks at both 3rd base options help with early defense. The aesthetics of the map are like an organic version of Cyberpunk with bright purples, pinks, and blues to contrast the darker base textures. Okay, guys, my least favorite buzzword of 2019 is fucking cyberpunk or frostpunk or anything like that. Anything with punk in it. It's a fucking vague thing. I don't know what this has got to do with cyberpunk. It's purple, so it's organic cyber. I don't know. It's fucking buzzwords, man. People are crazy. People are crazy, man. So if we look at this map, I'm not going to draw on every map. It'll take too long. Apparently the music is a little bit loud. I guess I'm mumbling a little bit. Sorry, guys. Apologies for that. Yeah, we'll just turn the music off for the rest of this video. No worries. Apologies for that one. Yeah, I'm really not projecting my voice. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. So you spawn bottom right, top left. Interesting. You know what? Actually, I will draw on every map, guys. I will draw on every map. Let's do it. Let's do it. I think it's just better if we draw on every map. We can see everything. Oi! God damn it. Sorry. Now we're good. Let's put this in green shot. Open it up. All right. So we are just going to draw on this again. All right. Bam. Bam. Very obvious natural expansion. Whew, okay. 3rd base gets interesting, guys. Do you go low ground 3rd here? It's got pretty wide open area there. Like they said, there's rocks here, though, which make that a more narrow choke point on that side. Without that, it would be, once those are down, you've got 2 big entrances, swarms of roach hydras, banelings, shit can come in there, right? You do have another option of a 3rd. You can take the front 3rd, which is kind of covered from the high ground. Like, not really, but you could like put a tank up there, for instance, and cover it somewhat. So Terran players might opt for that. I don't think Zergs are going to, though, because if you look at this base, I guess if you get rid of those rocks, it's not too bad. But pre-rocks, you got a lovely little corner where tanks can get sieged here. Siege pushes, I guess coming from here, it's quite wide open, actually. Overall, this looks really quite wide open. I mean, especially once you break any of these rocks down, definitely looks like a mobile army heaven. You know, big marine forces in TVT, big mobile Ling Bane armies. Oh, this is fascinating because, yeah, and there's so many flank paths. This is also a much quicker map, guys. This is just like way shorter rush distance across this map. It's not like a Biogenesis or a dance game station or anything like that, or a Yonsu. Fucking Yonsu. But it is still a shorter map, which I like. And your bases do get... I mean, is it really that hard to defend your bases? You go third there, fourth there. There's enough wide open areas that it is difficult, right? There aren't as many narrow choke points and things. Definitely, we've got high ground through the middle. So you've got... That's low ground there. That's low ground there. But this whole area is high ground. This whole area. So this whole stuff. That's all high ground, right? So great art, by the way. So this is low ground where we're drawing. That's low ground. That's low ground. We got sight blockers that I just spotted. We've got sight blockers there and there, which can create some interesting interactions on the north and south edges of the map. Do we have any rich gas geysers on this one? Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like we have any mineral wars. Doesn't look like we have any rich gas geysers. Interesting. Interesting. Can we talk about the map from Florencio's perspective? It's a bit hard to see where the cannons fit, guys. It's a bit hard. Overall, looks like a pretty interesting map in terms of movement. Let's just imagine that 4-base versus 4-base setup. As you're pushing, say you're attacking this player who's trying to take that fourth. So your attack angles, guys, are up here through the tall grass. There's also an awesome cliff above that. You can nuke, you can siege from up there. Oh, fuck, Zergs are never going to take that fourth. The tanks on the high ground would be too powerful. Zergs have to take this as their fourth. So Zergs can't take that fourth. And... I mean, hell, even a tank push if you're Protoss versus Terran could be real scary. Actually, that's rough. But anyway, continuing, you're attacking from there, and then you're attacking from either that way and that way, or if they've taken this base, of course, it's this choke point, and then you can go this arrow. It's a double arrow. Bam, bam, bam. So these are the different avenues. It looks like there is a little bit of dead space there, etc. So basically, these are areas where drops can come in, mutas can hide in there, drops can hide. It doesn't look like there's anywhere for units to idle in the back corners. There might be. It's hard to tell until you're actually onto the map. One thing to keep in mind, and something Nate has been campaigning for anyone who's been thinking, is pervert pillars. Nate has been saying, can we fucking get rid of pervert pillars? Can we stop giving Zerg free scouting spots for their overlords to sit? I mean, we're trying to buff overlord speed and give that more play. He's like, first of all, you better nerf overlord speed because they keep seeing everything I'm doing. Number two, can we get rid of these spots on every map? Which is an interesting thing because it's something which really does change the verse-Zerg balance a lot, right? The ability to sit an overlord on a piece of high ground, and it means if the Protoss doesn't build an early Prism or an early Oracle or Phoenix, they can't get rid of it. It means if Terran doesn't get an early Viking or something like that out there, they can't get rid of it, right? So it is this thing which gives a lot of information in the early game. Now, what's interesting about this spot is it is a bit further from that natural, so you can't actually see the gases on the natural with it, but I believe this is high ground up here, and there's a lot of dead space, so an Overlord can very easily spot, for instance, a Protoss player's gases. However, that Overlord from that pervert spot can't really get into the main. What I like about this main is, say you're Terran, it's hard for a slow Overlord sacrifice to get in, because your production is going to be over here, an Overlord is going to have to try to get down here and come in, and it's got to get through so much ground space where Marines could be waiting for it before it gets to the juicy production and tech in the back. So if you don't go Overlord speed, it's going to be very hard to scout a main base on this map. Likewise, if you're doing a Raven opening, you get a Raven out early against Protoss, you can get that Observer before it sees whatever's in the back of your base, whether that be Cloaked Banshees, whether that be a fast third command center, or something else. Interesting. I like the map overall. I think there's enough movement, pieces of high ground, rocks that can be taken down. The bases seem to get spread out a decent amount. Don't get me wrong. I would be okay with the bases being even more spread out, but there being more choke points on the map, right? I think there's an okay balancing factor where if you have bases are spread out, it's hard to defend them. That's good for Zerg to be aggressive, but you've also got nice choke points and things. Then it's good for the other races as well. Case in point, Ephemeron. Ephemeron is a map where it's really spread out. The base is very hard to defend them. But you've got like these bridges. So if a Terran sets up a nice push, it's really actually, it kind of turns upside down. It's hard for Zerg to defend. At the same time, though, sometimes Zerg can just like swamp armies in the middle of the map because there's so many big open areas. I like it the more the spread out the bases are, guys. So let's go Simulacrum next. This digital playground provides the standard complement of chokes, open areas, and choices of expansion. Defend the central bridges or control the forward high ground bases as a late game focal point. Okay, so chokes, open areas, choices of expansion, central bridges. This sounds like an Ephemeron map, right? Let's take a... Is this it? I think this is it. Let's... Because it's meant to be green, right? I think this is it. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So we're just going to do a quick little... Open that in the image editor, and let's get our drawing tool out so we can have a quick look at it. Okay, you get your main base. A natural expansion. Ooh, natural has an entrance from there. Cool. It's quite wide open as well. Where do you wall your natural? Oh, that's got mineral blockers on it. I think that has mineral blockers that can be mined out. Ah, okay. And I think that might be a mineral blocker. I'm like, it's too pixely. It's too pixely, guys. Apparently, it's not completely blocked. Chat's telling me that apparently there is a slight one space opening there that like Zergling, Zealots, Adepts and stuff can fit through. And this here is partially blocked also. So you know what? Someone's trying to break through. They like quickly run a drone forward and mine your minerals to make the choke wider open. I don't know. That would be kind of funny, right? So if you've got minerals there, I mean, as a Protoss player, how do you wall off this base? Ooh. So are you gonna wall that off with one pylon, and then the other pylon and gateways go here, and you got like a zealot in the choke, and they run up with like a drone and mine the minerals, and then the lings flood in? No, it wouldn't be that hard. I think it's fine. It's just one of these things where if both your pylons get put at the front, because your first two pylons are so important, it means it's very easy for your opponent to scout your tech. It's harder to trick your opponent, right? Now, potentially, it might be that you can put a single adept here or zealot here, and that's just fully walled off. In which case, you don't even need to put a unit there necessarily, as long as you scout early and check you're not being early pulled. That's cool. I think that's a pervert pillar, and I think that's a pervert pillar. I believe, yeah. So pervert pillar. Once again, that one actually won't spot the gases, but you've got a bit of dead space over here. You've got no dead space on this right-hand side. Isn't this a funny little expansion? How do you get down there? You're like, I'll take this, please. And if it gets attacked, I can't defend it. Until I've taken the bases in front. So this is like a weird like 5th or 6th base that you kind of get for free because it's tucked in the back. But like, you don't want to take this early because you can't get to defend it, right? That's actually really funny. I wonder if people start taking like hidden bases there and just walling it off. That's funky. So anyway, this will normally be the 3rd base up here, of course. And then you're basically just defending that choke point and then this choke point. Who knows? You might find some madman who immediately walls off here with his first pylon and is like, yeah, let's fucking secure 3 bases. I think that's a little bit crazy, but we'll have to see. So anyway, natural to natural rush distance. Let's assume... Wait, there's minerals there. Does that mean that's minerals on either side of a site block? I think it is. Because you see there's even... Oh, it's like a little garden. They got little stepping stones. Isn't that cute? So once you mine down the minerals, that's pretty fast, natural to natural. But you need to mine out that to make it a decent choke point. You definitely need to mine Bam Bam. Or are these... Maybe these are also open. Do you guys know if the middle ones are also a single space open? It looks like there's a space on the side open. Apparently, the middle ones also have a 1-block space. Apparently. People are saying enhance. Whoops, sorry. Let me... Pretty sure that it's not high enough res. Oh, it's actually way higher res than I realized, guys. Holy shit, sorry. Oh my god, I actually thought it was really pixely. It's actually not that bad. Okay, so check this out. Okay, so there is a space there. Yeah, okay. So you can actually rush pretty quickly, but I'm not sure...
My man.
If it's only a single space, you can't get siege tanks through there. You can't get Archons through there. You can't get Thors through there. Ultras. So, that is something. Pretty sure Ravagers still only take up 1 space, so they should be able to get through, I think. Okay, that's cool. Back to our drawing. So you've got a pretty fast rush distance that way. So let's imagine we're attacking into a 3 base, or let's say 4 base. You're not going to take that one. That one's so exposed. You're going to take... This base is kind of spread out as well. Once you go to a 4th base, guys, you are very exposed. I like it. So you go natural 3rd. Let's say you take a 4th. Obviously, it's like they can attack from here. They can attack from these two directions, and they can attack from here. But there's also, of course, the Doom drop route. Because you're kind of always expanding up this way, this is going to be the exposed dropping edge. This is where Prisms are going to drop tons of Zealots in your base. This is where Marines are going to unload. This is where Nidus Worms are going to pop up. Back down in this corner is where that's going to happen. Might pop up here as well, because the units have to go to get there. But that's interesting to think about. These are the big drop path is into that main base, guys. Into that main base. In terms of everything else, the low ground area in the middle, this is all low ground. These are the paths through here, right? Whereas these areas, all high ground. So the middle area, you can directly jump across and get somewhere, but there will always be nice defensive positions, which you'll see more in TVT than any other matchup. You know, you're holding up here with tanks. You got a few tanks there. The player who's trying to attack into you is like, oh shit, man, this is a no-go zone. This is a no-go zone. This is a no-go zone. They're like, oh shit, I got to try to, you know, come in from this angle to threaten that fourth base, right? So like sieging up tanks on these ledges is going to be very powerful. Walling off. So if you're in late game TVZ and you've got these 4 bases, right? You wall off there, and you'd be trying to like wall off kind of like this, and just like you'd have these like tanks behind these ledges and stuff. That is a gigantic ramp, that one there. But interesting to think about. Overall, interesting movement on this map. In some regards, the bases are still pretty close together. Not too hard to defend your 3-base setup by any means. You know, that's such a narrow choke point. So none of these are going the Ephemeron route where it's like really hard to defend, but at least when you go to the 4th, you do get a bit more spread out, which is something. Hey, Fireblats, thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate the support, mate. Glad you enjoyed the stream yesterday, dude. So let's go. What's the next one, guys? Oh, that was it. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Oh, no, Simulacrum. Whoops. This digital battleground provides a standard complement of chokes, open areas. Oh, I was looking at the wrong map. Right, I was reading that for that one. Okay, so the one we just looked at, it's a Zen Garden. It has 2 koi ponds on the sides. There's koi fish on the sides of this map? Yes! The main feature of the map is 2 small entrances to the natural. Sorry, guys, let's just very quickly check that one out. Where are the koi ponds? It says on the sides of the map. Is it just like this whole area is all koi pond? Or there it is. Koi pond and koi pond. There's going to be fishies swimming in there, guys. I'm excited. A little bit too much of just the tiled setup. I'd like more green and less, you know, more green across it. But it'll do. It'll make me happy anyway.
My man.
2 koi ponds. First one's give a direct shot path. The opponent is only 1 tile wide, but can be enlarged by mining the minerals. Other choke is 6 tiles wide and leads to the 3rd base. In the middle, there are 2 sets of mineral walls that make the path 1 tile wide. These paths make large armies extremely slow unless you mine them out. This map also has more advanced custom cliffs that were shaped into pillars. Okay, cool. So now Simulacrum is the one we read before. We got confused. Defend the central bridges or control the forward high ground bases as a late game focal point. Okay. Let's go. All right. Let's go. Last 1v1 map here, guys. What is that? That's the main, right? Oh yeah, it is. All right, these are your 3 bases normally. Of course, you do have a 3rd or 4th option here. You could technically take that as your 3rd because it is going to be on the pushing path. Natural to natural is going to just go something like that. Obviously, I guess you could, you know, there are other paths. We've got sight blockers here. You could just as easily go that way or that way. Reasonable distance. But yeah, it's all low ground and there's sight blockers. So, and because there's these big movement blockers you can't move around, big holes in the building because you're on top of a skyscraper. It means TVT movement around the middle is going to be real interesting, especially with sight blockers and stuff. Scans, air superiority becomes very important. You're going to look at these fantastic defensive ledge here, defending this choke point and this choke point. You can break down those rocks. That's there and there to open it up. So let's just focus on the left-hand side for now. Where do you take your 4th base, guys? If you go to the low ground, it can be assaulted from there, and there. That's 3 attack paths, and it is a big open area. However, it's very close to your natural. The alternative is to expand down here to the corner, where it doesn't have as many attack angles, only 2, but it's a little bit further away. If your army's situated up here at your natural, you're like, oh, I'm chilling here. They hit from this angle. it's going to take you a long time to respond. Whereas if your army, say, is hanging out at your third and this base gets hit, it's a much quicker path down to that third. So I think generally people are probably going to take the front base, but it does depend on the situation. If we think about it in terms of a Zerg defending a tank push, this base in the corner, tanks cannot get in range of that. They have a little piece of terrain and tall grass. They can definitely set tanks behind there. And they could even back it up with a tank or two up here, which would be kind of nice, but they don't quite reach the hatchery. I think these ones would reach the gas, but nonetheless, it's like this is still a big wide open area, and it's not that hard for a Zerg to come around and pincer from two sides. Whereas if we look at the same situation, the reason we always do Zerg versus Terran, by the way, is Zerg is the most short range race, Terran is the longest range race. So you can apply this same analysis to say if you're fighting, like, and someone's sieging you with like Colossus or something, and you've only got Bio, or if they're sieging you with tanks and you've only got Zealots and Stalkers, same situation, right? So this fourth base here, let's imagine you've taken that as a Zerg. Someone can set up tanks like here. It's not amazing. It's okay because they've got to kind of really come around this way to actually get the flank. If you go around that way, you're clumping. There's going to be kill zones on these corners. You're going to clump up there. You're going to clump up there, right? So you'd have to go all the way around to like really flank it from the sides. Likewise, probably the more common push path where it's harder to flank them, tanks there. That is a beautiful little tank location up here. Put one tank or two there, and the Marines can branch down into this base. Once again, though, the tanks aren't actually in range of the hatch, so it's going to be a slow push. It's going to be a powerful push position that's hard to dislodge, but it's going to be hard for the Terran to reinforce. Not that hard, actually. You know, it's not that hard for them to reinforce. Interesting. Once again, let's clear all these marks up. That's a 3-base player. You got him defending down here. Narrow choke point, narrow choke point. Until these rocks get taken down, guys, real narrow choke points up there. So very easily defendable third, where the actual opening is the main base. Big wide open main, quite far from the third. Once again, that's where drops, that's where Nidus is, that's where Warp Prisms are going to come in. I look at this map and I say, like, you know, TVP, I'm always going to have a Viking patrolling this area. Probably against Terran as well. I'm probably always going to just have a Viking patrolling that area and be like, don't let a fucking prism in there, mate. That shit's scary. In terms of positioning, so they're talking about, hey, control the high ground bases in the middle as a late game focal point. So what are they talking about? They're talking about, hey, you've gone 4 bases, but let's say you're playing Broodlords. You're this player on the right, you got Broodlords, you got Infestors, you know, one of these real static compositions, Tempests and Carriers and Storm and Shield Batteries against Terran, that sort of shit. You can take this base and then this base, and then you're kind of like, you know, if you can cement this high ground, you got high ground, but you can kind of cement this area with like batteries and cannons or spores, and you can obviously, or a planetary fortress like tanks and liberators, or liberators and ghosts, then you kind of siege your way forward and choke your opponent out. But the way it works is because it's so off center, I feel like it's almost, if you take one side, the opponent gets the other side. And what's interesting then is that opponent can branch into that base and then even potentially that base very easily to deny your mining and deny your bases. And you can do the same to them. So you're going to get this kind of weird, like, rotating base layout where in the late game, we very well might actually see. So this player on the left is like, these are my bases. But then it's going to shift. And they're going to actually end up like, oh, these are my bases. And these are your bases. So you're going to see it go from left versus right to top versus bottom. Not every game, but you will see this sometimes if it goes to super late game, very static, slow styles. So really cool to see. Someone in chat saying this looks like a dream map for Nidus Swarm Host. No, I don't think so. If you actually throw a Nidus Worm up here, because there's so much space, whilst you will hit the production, you won't hit it with a huge amount of timed life left. I'm not sure what the exact duration would be, but yeah, you won't. The other thing is these maps aren't as big, guys. So don't get me wrong, it's somewhat easy to defend, but these maps aren't Thunderbird, they're not Disco Bloodbath, they're not these maps that were so gigantic to get across. Just looking at these do not feel as big as the current map pool, where it was so hard to push in. We even saw Nidus Swarm Host from Dark and Zerg versus Zerg. Nidus is getting nerfed a ton, by the way. I hope they go through with at least 2 of the 3 changes, if not all 3, because it's just way too powerful. But the moment you make the map smaller, Swarm Host Nidus loses its power. If people can have the option to do a good frontal push, it becomes much more powerful. We saw Dark make that work in Zerg vs Zerg. by shoring up his defenses by building a gigantic wall of spines which could barely hang on against Raynor. And that's because he only had one attack angle. He could defend 3 bases from one angle. You can't do that on any other map other than Thunderbird and, you know, some of the maps in that last pool. I don't think Knight of Swarmos will be that powerful because if you think about it, yeah, I mean, you could technically also do it here and throw in there. I don't know. I really don't think Knight of Swarmos is something we all have to worry about too much. It's always been a hard style to manage. If you can just go and push the Nidus player, and I think the maps are big enough, we should be fine. Interesting map. So far, like I said, I don't judge the maps too harshly. I just look at some generic features and say, yeah, they all look okay. 1v1 map review overall, guys. I think overall, if we look at these 1v1 maps, I would say my thoughts are we could have the bases spread out a little bit more, and potentially a bit more of a mix of choke points and wide open areas on some of the maps as well. But we could talk for an hour about that, looking at each map. So, you know, nothing set in stone there. Thank you very much, Aramine, Lift Zeke, and Andy Gundy with the subs. Much love, friends. I love you all. Thank you very much. All right, 2v2 map here. Just a very quick review. I really don't know what I'm talking about with 2v2, guys. It is, of course, 1 player, 2 player, 3 player, 4 player. You can expand down. You get yourselves a gold base each down here. And then there's this funky little corners you can fight over. Quite a lot of base count overall. Lots of high ground, low ground interactions. So it's like low ground, higher ground, and then back down, I think it is for that one. Interesting ledges, lots of attack angles, lots of movement. I like it. I really like this map. That just looks like a map which promotes movement. It's not too turtly. This looks really cool for 2v2. What's the map called? It is called Heavy Artillery LE. Nice. Next one is Augustine Falls for 3v3, which has Augustine, right? It's got all the fall leaves, as you guys in America call it. We call it August. Well, autumn, sorry. So I guess August, autumn. That's what I'm kind of getting mixed up. It's kind of, I guess actually, if you think about it, is August autumn for you guys? It is, right? Or is that still summer? August is normally still winter here, so it'd be summer for you guys. August is the end of summer. Yeah, it's the end of summer. Okay, I don't know why it's called Augustine then. I saw the autumn leaves and I got confused. But autumn leaves, once again, guys, we see another map where I love map makers. I think they do beautiful things. There looks like there's some cool scenery over here. You know what I'm not a big fan of? You know what I'm not a big fan of, guys? Metal. I can't be the only one who just wants snow, underwater, and grass maps and beaches. That's all I want. I want nature. I don't want to fucking look at shitty metal in my video game. You guys are going to make me go outside and look at some fucking trees and eat some fucking lettuce or something just to get some nature. Jesus Christ. Too much metal, man. Give me more nature. Even here, look at this. Do you call this nature? It's like fucking brown ground that they've like fucking... The enemies thousands of years ago sowed the ground with salt so shit wouldn't grow. Come on, man. Yeah, we need more koi. We need more koi. Come on, guys. So I don't know. Aesthetically, not a big fan of them. I like the color of the leaves, and they might look really good in game. We'll see. Just the rest of it is kind of boring. 1, 2. Where's the third player spawn? Do they spawn here? Oh, okay, yeah. Third player spawns there. 1, 2, 3. Expansion. Really easy to get up to 3 bases each. This is a mega turtle map. It's all going to be about drop harass on this left-hand side base and this right-hand side base. But this one especially is the exposed edge. That's where you're going to get drop harass, banshee harassed. This map, super easy to get 3 bases. And then it's just like there's a tiny bit of low ground and then you're at each other's expansions. Pretty boring map. This is 3v3. Not the most exciting map in my opinion. It's not bad. It's definitely friendly. You do want some of these maps where it's easy to expand. In 3v3s, people can just expand and kind of progress from there. We can see what goes on. I don't want to see metal in a sci-fi game. The entire army is made of metal. You don't fucking need the whole map to be shitty concrete and metal as well, man. Jesus, it looks like shit. Another skyscraper map. No, stop it. At least this one's a bit more overgrown, so we can imagine this is like, you know, post-apocalyptic civilization where the fucking trees and forest is growing on top of the skyscrapers. It's good shit. Anyways, okay, so let's take a look. This is a 4v4 map. 1, 2, 3, 4. You get 2 free bases in the back, 3 free bases in the front. And then it's like a few more bases. And then once again, it's like just a narrow strip of low ground and then you run into each other. Once again, not the most exciting, but I do like there's some cool tall grass on the edges. You can get around there, come in from the flanks, big drop paths into this main base and here. You know, basically these two edges are going to be the drop paths. So as always, lots of harassment will be the key here in 2v2, 3v3, and 4v4. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the new maps. If I think they're really bad or really good, or I have some cool thoughts on them, I may do another video in a week or two's time. Once I've practiced on it. Maybe post Home Story Cup, since they'll probably be playing on these maps, I would imagine. So, actually they probably won't. They'll probably still be using the old map pool for the players' sake. But either way, post Home Story Cup, we'll probably do another video taking a look at that. Thanks for the support, guys. Big shout out to everyone who's been hopping on, supporting, Patreon, subscribing, clicking the little notifications button, liking, commenting, and being part of the community. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate the support. Keep it up. We'll see you in the next video. Have a good night.